It's Ronnie, and welcome to Simple Stories Saturdays, hosted by Joanne Bartell, where we all use our simple stories to create our layout. And today I'm going to use the Vintage Lemon Twist. And it's also Scraptember by the Scrappy Sisters, and today's prompt is pattern paper. So I think I'll be using 4 or 5 on my layout, and I'm going to use these 2 photos. And I had a plan originally, and I cut that part out since I changed my mind. And because I fussy cut that piece of paper out, I guess I ought to say what I'm using. I use that die set. I don't use any of the brads. I forget about them. And that's the piece I fussy cut out that don't get used on the layout. And I had it planned to kind of tuck those in, and I didn't like it. The plan in my head worked better than on the paper. So I decided to leave it out, and I stopped where I was at, and I pulled this paper out so I'd have another piece of pattern paper. And the edge had those butterflies barely cut off. So I decided to just go ahead and tear it along there instead of trying to cut it smaller on my trimmer. And it looks okay anyway. Tearing's not my favorite thing, but I do it every now and then. And that was black and white paper. And I used those 2 inks from Close to My Heart to ink the flowers, because in the photo there are yellow flowers, but not as many as there are reddish looking ones. And so I wanted to, and I had 2 sheets of this because I hadn't touched it, and I wanted to use a color on there that went with more of the flowers in the pictures. And you might notice these are going to get, they got switched. I went to put them on and both had glue on them. And I started to use my undo, but I thought, man, that one is just practically covered. So I just reprinted them. And I had it intended to put them the opposite way, but once I put them on top of the other photos and used liquid glue, well, they were stuck, and I knew they were stuck, and I had foam tape on the right one. So I just went ahead and left them this way. And my titles, Enjoy the Little Things. And I did cut 3 layers there to make it a little bit thicker and for them to stand out a little bit. And you will notice me in a few minutes put the dots on the J and the I. And I won't be paying attention. Well, I didn't put both of them, 3 of them on there. I guess I missed one because Little needs one too. And I will not have one on there. I put 2 on there. But I will notice that when I go to take the pictures and move the one that's in the wrong place on the Enjoy. But I guess I'll have to go back there and punch one out with my tiny punch and put one on the Little, because all I had was 2. Oh, how I ramble and I keep going, don't I? I thought I cut this in half. I fussy cut it out to kind of make that other piece look more layered. And I was going to do a slit in it and kind of tuck it in and put some foam tape behind it. I don't remember exactly what all I was going to do with it, but I decided to go ahead and use it on the changed layout. And I'm not going to use those sequins there. I didn't show them, but I'm not going to use them. I'm going to decide it's more yellow than I want. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out some black ones. And the little labels, I guess they're labels. They say, well, the top one is The Good Life. The bottom one, Love This Most. And I'm going to add Sweet also, because they are kissing, and I thought Sweet would work. And then a ticket that says Happiness. But that's my nephew and his wife. And I think these were their spring pictures. I'm pretty sure that's what they were. And before I turn my overhead light on, I'm just going to have to start turning it on. Well, one is like a photography light, but then the other one's an art light. And I know I've had it 20 some years, because it's like one of the first things I bought when I started scrapbooking. And I've never had to change the bulb, so I'm getting kind of stingy at turning the lights on, because I think, man, if I have to replace that bulb, am I going to find one that fits after all these years? But yeah, it still works. As much as I scrapbook, it still works. And I guess I'm just go ahead and turn it on and take my chances. But I thought their clothes matched the color of that paper. They do not, but I'm leaving it anyway because I already had everything laid out. And I thought, well, that's not too bad. But looking now, I'm thinking, oh, I could have done a better job of matching it. But they looked similar when I was doing it without the lights on. Um, I forgot to show the die with the hearts. It was already cut out and in the collection, and so I didn't think about it. But I'm pretty sure it's Kaiser Craft, and it's an older one. And I did uh, some of those little hearts, the yellow ones, are chipboard. That one is not, but some of them are, and I will go ahead and pull a couple of more out. But I didn't show the chipboard, but I thought they'd look cute nestled in there. Even though I'd rather them been pink, I was challenging myself to use this collection since, that teal matched their clothes so well. But yeah, it's it's not matching as well as I was hoping. Um, and she's a scrapbooker. So if she sees this, she might think, oh, you would thought she would match. But yeah, um, let's see, where am I at here? Oh, I'm just making the clusters. And I do like that I could add them a little easier than I could have with the other piece on there, that big one. Although I was going to put a cluster right on top of the lemons because I didn't think I needed them, and cover it up and try to maybe figure out another way or two to make it look a little more layered. But then I decided I wanted to have some reddish color in there, and I'd have to add this one paper. And so, yeah, I do have that polka dot, I have the plaid, I have the butterfly ones, which the butterflies that I'm using on the layout got fussy cut out of that piece of paper. And in the background, it's not exactly solid. It looks stamped and stuff, so it kind of has a random pattern on it. And of course, the one that I inked. Um, oh, this is the tiniest butterfly. I wanted to make sure I had 3 sizes. And so, yeah, one of them is super tiny, making sure I did have 3 of them. And I think I'm about done, except for the sequins. I will get the sequins out. And, or do I have anything else to do? Let me look. Nope, sequins is next. And both are Spiegel Mom scraps, but of course you can't get them anymore. And that's where I put that eye on. I seen that little pointed thing and wasn't even paying attention. And yeah, it's part of the O. So it did not work. But while I'm putting them on there, I want to mention that down there below you'll find a playlist for the Simple Story Saturdays. And like I said, it's where everybody will be using their simple stories, either from their stash or something new. And also, it is Scraptember, hosted by the Scrappy Sisters. Oh, and the other one, again, is Joanne Bartell. And it's a prompt every day for the month of September. And today's prompt, as I said, is pattern paper. And I did make another layout and somehow deleted, I guess, the footage, all of it, all of it. I didn't have any left. And it was either do a share or and use, show my pattern paper on it, or make another layout. So I just made another layout. But there's the love this most and happiness. And of course, all the hearts, since they are kissing. But yeah, had a lot of fun making it, even though it with a complete different way from what I have planned. And there's the sweet and the good life. And there's the tiny cluster in the upper right hand corner. But isn't that the cutest heart die? It actually comes with two dies, and the other one's like a straight line. But I think this one's my favorite. But that's it. That's my layout. And I want to thank you all so very, very much for joining me while I created it. And make sure you check out the two playlists down there below and see what everybody else has created today. And have fun doing it. Bye.